Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels to short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Steve. We also have a special guest on with us.
How did you sneak in here? Who do we have here today?
We've got Alexi Khajavi here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you both.
Good to see you as well. So we're going to talk a lot about why you're on and what exciting things are happening. But I think we should kind of take a quick moment to just say where we're joining from.
Yeah, Sarah, where are you joining from? Are you on safari somewhere in Africa? Where are you at?
Oh my God, I wish. By the way, that's a bucket list item. So anybody have a safari, we can make that happen. No, I am here in a glamping tent with my friends over at the Lavongo Resort, which is a private island just off of the U.S. Virgin Islands. And you're like, this place sounds familiar. Yes. If it sounds familiar, this is now my third time here on property. I stayed in a treehouse before. They've got luxury villas. And this time I got to stay in a glamping tent. And so I'm right here on this beautiful balcony overlooking this turquoise water. And I don't want to go home, which is why I'm still doing this from here today.
I think for Alex and I, you should turn the screen just so we can see you.
Okay, fine, guys.
I don't want to.
Fine.
Wow.
Oh my God, what a painful Wednesday.
Fine, right? Here we go. Here we go. I would have done it this direction, but wanted to make sure the lighting was good.
Amazing view. You, like I said, listeners and viewers, and now Alex, maybe for you too. She's been there 3 times. She's officially influenced me. This travel influencer has influenced me to go there.
It's on brand. It's on brand.
Very on brand. So, Alex, where are you joining us from right now?
Nowhere as nice as you, Sarah. But it's not bad. I'm in Chicago, which is beautiful this time of year. So I'm just thankful it's not February. But yeah,
True.
we've got a meeting of our bar and restaurant professionals for one of our markets that we work in. So I'll be here. Got in late last night. Was actually walked for the first time in many years, which was
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. And they did a good job of it, so I have to give them credit. But yeah, I'm in beautiful old Chicago, not glamping.
It's all right. I'll work on my tan for everybody. Okay.
Well, I'm here as always from the studios here in Miami. Always having a good time here. And we had the amazing Hospitality Mentor Networking event yesterday at the Mandarin Oriental. They hosted us. It was fantastic. We had 130 people show up. So thank you to all of you that showed up. I know some of you are watching now. It was an amazing event that was just a really special time at a beautiful hotel. It's closing soon. They're closing May 31st after 25 years. They're knocking it down and building a new one. So we got to go out with a bang over there. There
is a lot going on in Miami.
That's every crane. Every crane's building something amazing here.
Yeah. That's definitely true. Well, yeah. So we might as well go ahead and get started. So Alex, want to find out a little bit more. There's an exciting conference that's going on in a couple of weeks, and I know that you're going to share a bit about that. But the 2025 NYU Hospitality Investment Conference, it's going on from June 1st through 3rd, obviously in New York. But would love to hear a little bit more about what you guys sort of have planned for this year and what we can expect. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, we connect and inform as we all know, the real estate investor that owns the bricks is in many cases different than the operator or the brand that is on the day-to-day operations of that hotel. So we connect those two and we bring that ecosystem together. We do that in Europe. We've got a flagship event there. We do it in Asia, and then we were really fortunate to acquire NYU, which is a 40-year-old forum that's been happening in the city, part of the New York University School of Professional Studies and the Tisch School of Hospitality. Yeah. The proceeds go to scholarship funds to support the next generation of hospitality leaders. So there's a lot of goodwill and legacy around that event. But what's really interesting is we just had our European equivalent in Berlin about 5 weeks ago.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I can tell you that there's a couple of sort of trends that are coming out of there. One is we had more attendance and more engagement with the sessions than what I've ever seen in the last 20 years, and I think that's just indicative of the uncertainty and how quickly things are changing in the market, so that people really are desperate for relevant, timely information. So we had standing room only in all of the sessions. It really is the most senior level gathering of the best and the brightest of the industry. So we have all of the CEOs. We have a CEO panel with CEOs from Marriott, Hilton, IHG, Accor, Wyndham, on down the line. They're interviewed by Sarah Eisen, which is on CNBC, Squawk Box, and so forth. So, and then it really is then seniority throughout both the investment side, the capital side, to the operators, the brands, the brokerage, legal, advisory. About 2,500 people.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Attend. It really is a deal-making forum. And as we know, hotel transactions have been somewhat muted for the last two years. That being said, there's so much money in dry powder that's sitting on the sidelines. There's a lot of investors that never would have thought about investing in the hotel sector. We see new capital coming into our conferences and subscribing to our newsletters and participating in our research or downloading our research on the sector that frankly never invested in hotels before. They were in office, they were in logistics. But hotels have been the darling of the commercial real estate industry for the last 2-3 years, which is part of the reason you haven't seen a lot of transactions, because the owners have high valuations and high expectations. So it is an incredible forum to be just absolutely surrounded with the best and the brightest on the investment, development, and transaction side of the market, because it is operational real estate, and we can reprice the rooms every day in F&B and wellness and all the things that you and Steve talk about on this show. It's not just an office where you collect a rent. It also is a lot of interesting content. How do you take advantage of the wellness trend? How do you make money off of an F&B component? There's a lot of great content there, and a lot of the most professional and active capital worldwide that will be there alongside brands, operators, and the like. So it's a really incredible time.
That's amazing. Yeah. It sounds like an amazing event for people to really make deals. And so in those deals being made, are you seeing a new trend of deals being made? Is it more like the boutique, smaller properties? Is it large resorts? Is it the all-inclusives? What are you seeing? Because we talk about so many different things that are popping in this. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Steve. And we have an investor council, which is 100 of the world's most active investors. So what we have seen over the last couple of years is certainly single asset transactions. We haven't seen a lot of portfolio transactions come to market. So that is one. And we were expecting, again, prior to some of the market turmoil that we've seen over the last 45 days, we were expecting more portfolio deals to start to take place. Interest rates have been high, so it's been hard to get some of those larger portfolio deals across the line. But to the news last week, we've also seen platform deals from brands, right? So obviously Marriott with citizenM, Hyatt with Standard. Some of those conversations I think we're going to have today. So the brands have actually been quite active in picking up particularly lifestyle platforms, and those deals are also happening. In a couple of years ago, we saw Rocco Forte Hotels meet with PIF, the Saudi Arabian sovereign fund, in Berlin at our event, and sort of foster that relationship, which led to an acquisition. So we've seen those deals as well. And then I think, maybe again on brand to where Sarah's at, glamping and alternative accommodations are really the plot du jour. I mean, I think there's a lot of excitement around just experiential hotel stays or stays, not even hotels. It's hard to tell if you're selling, a night of sleeping or if you're just selling an entire comprehensive experience. So pretty exciting out there. It's the old days of just trading a hotel asset off of Main Street and calling it a day and putting a brand on it. You're seeing a lot more investment on both brands, platforms, technology. So it's pretty active.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
no, it's definitely it's a great time, and I'm excited because I'm actually going to be there. So, kind of last minute decision. So will be great to be there, kind of on the floor and see what's going on. And for also context, and I realize I'm sorry I didn't say this at the beginning, but for those tuning in, if you don't know Alexi, you should, but because he's the president of hospitality, travel, and wellness for Questex. So obviously doing this conference, but many others in the travel, hospitality, and of course wellness space. So you really have your finger on the pulse of a lot of things because you're seeing it from all different angles.
Yeah, look, I'm really fortunate. I mean, at the core of what we do is we inform and we connect professionals that work in those industries of hospitality, travel, and wellness, which are great industries to be in.
Yeah.
So, I really do, find myself to be privileged to be able to connect these industries together. And look, I mean, interestingly, these markets for Questex, which at the end of the day, we have newsletters, we do research, we lead people to websites to engage with content, and then we do events of all sizes. We do board meeting events, we do large scale trade shows with 40,000 people attending, and then we do conferences like NYU where it's 2,000, almost like a Davos like experience. When we created those markets, they were really we saw them, and frankly, the professionals in those markets saw them as distinct verticals that had very little overlap. But now what we're finding is that the overlap between wellness, food and beverage, travel, and hotels is just immense. There's such a blurring, and I think all of it falls within this experience economy, which again, I've heard you two talk about, which is just the consumer wanting to spend more of their income around experiences over things. And we continue to see that. And so they're really thriving markets. I mean, they're growing, each of them in their own ways. And they all need information, and they all need to connect to each other, buyers and sellers. So that's what we do at the very sort of basic level. So it's a nice gig.
Well, I'm going to say I'm excited to be here today because I have a project that I got to share in about 2 weeks. I'm going to share behind the scenes with you because now we are raising money from investors. It all hits all those things. So very excited.
A lot of fun. Well, people can still sign up to and register and come to the NYU conference. So we'll be sure to share a link for that because there's still time between now. And remember, it's going to be June 1st through 3rd. But this is exciting. This is good. We love hearing this good news as far as what's going on. Especially
cover some of the things we're going to talk about today. I think it's going to be great.
So if you're good, should we dive into some of these topics?
I think so. I would love to hear the point of view from our guest host here.
Yes, exactly. So this is great. The first topic that we're touching on today, you had just mentioned Marriott acquiring citizenM. So obviously in their big lifestyle hotel expansion. Now this is going to be interesting because those that are familiar with the brand, I mean, it's very tech savvy, design forward. And Marriott again is sort of like looking to increase their footprint in their lifestyle and boutique hotel segment. What are you guys kind of like? What is this signaling to you, if anything? Do you find this exciting? Like, what are your thoughts?
Say on my point of view, and I'm sure Alexi will have a lot to say, but in Miami, they built 3 like back to back to back.
Yes,
and it was amazing to see and visit each one of them. And they're great places because they invite people to really use their public spaces and to use it as a co-working and to make it part of the neighborhood. And then the rooms are nice, but they're micro units. They want you to be out in the lobby and be out in the amenities. And that's where they spend the money. And so I really love this brand. I've been hanging out in one here, especially in downtown recently a lot, and just enjoy the vibe that they put out there.
Yeah, I think you hit on a really interesting point, which is the micro hotel. Because I think my colleague Cameron Spearance did an article on this because on the surface, it kind of puts into question what is going to be the difference, the brand differentiation between citizenM and Moxie, right? Because they both kind of play in that same lifestyle boutique environment. I think Cameron's article pointed to 2 points. One is it almost sort of lays bare this reality that brand proliferation from the brand's perspective is non-existent. It's not a problem if that it used to be, well, we've got one brand in this segment and then we got another in upper class or mid-scale, whatever it may be. They can have multiple brands across multiple scales, and that is just the way it is. So I think that investment sort of underpins the brand's belief that there is plenty of room for brands and continued brand proliferation, if you will. I think what's interesting about citizenM is it was one of those first hotels that actually empowered you not to have to engage with staff from a check-in perspective, from an ordering F&B perspective. And yet the customer service still felt really professional and very personalized and, high touch, if you will. So it was kind of that high tech, high touch. And I think it's crazy that even after all these years of citizenM being in the market, there's not too many brands that have been able to do that combination. So I think some of that's going to be helpful, and I think that they'll continue to play that out in the space. But look, everybody's investing in lifestyle and boutique right now. Standard, Ennismore, which was the Accor.
Totally.
So it's kind of the trend.
When you see, how big do you think these brands need to be before they get picked up? Because we saw Graduate Hotels get bought. Now we're seeing citizenM. Like, what level size is like the sweet spot that you're seeing there?
We've had this conversation. It seems to be in that 25 to 35. I mean, I think Moxie is at sort of 30, or sorry, citizenM's at like 36 hotels. Standard, I think, was in that 30 range. But that being said, Nomad was one hotel.
That's right.
So I don't. Which was a different thing. I mean, Nomad at one hotel, yet the brand felt like it had 50 hotels. I mean, we all knew, consumer more importantly, knew that, what the Nomad brand was. But it does seem to be, in that 20 to 30 where you start to get some operating scale, but you're not too big that, it becomes hard to get that larger deal across the line. Ennismore was in that similar situation. Kimpton was kind of there, which is now a long time ago when IHG picked up Kimpton. Six Senses was a bit more luxury, but that seems to be in that sweet spot. Steve,
is there one that you have your radar on now? If you were to put a bet on, if we were to go to Las Vegas and put a bet on the next brand that's going to get put on,
it's not answering your question, but SBE always kind of swims in the back of my head.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and obviously Sam Nazarian's done partnerships with Wyndham, and he's got this partnership with Tony Robbins.
They're doing a wellness center now. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, which kind of points to the market blending of wellness and food and beverage and hospitality, which all sort of supports my role. But SBE, I think, is one of those brands that's always out there that's punching above its weight. And I'd like to see it sort of get to scale and do some exciting things. But there's so many. I mean, I thought Graduate Hotels with Hilton, great idea. University towns, young,
totally
demand gen that's built in. Who doesn't want to go see their kids at school? So there's a lot of them out there. I'm not even sure I know of all of them. There's so many that come out.
There are so many. There are so many. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I mean, again, it's exciting to see how it's all just evolving, and there really is a place and space for everyone. I mean, everybody, because each one of these properties and these brands has a different feel to it. Like, we know what it is, and again, it just it appeals to different travelers. So, well, I'm looking at the time here. We should kind of keep moving on some of our topics.
Now we got some big ones coming.
I know we have some big ones. So maybe we'll just focus on our hotel topics today. So Las Vegas Hotels, I really wanted to touch on this because this definitely was huge. They have been experiencing a wave of layoffs amid automation and all of this. And so I've got a lot of friends that are concierge, valet, and several major Las Vegas Strip properties have announced layoffs due to basically reduced post-pandemic staffing needs. And it's interesting because it kind of came pretty abruptly, but at a time where I think, there's a little bit of uncertainty as far as how busy Vegas is going to be going into the summer, just with travel and the state of the world and the state of the country. But these layoffs were definitely, I think, a big shock for a lot of people. What, you guys heard about this?
Absolutely. I'll let Alex go first. What are you hearing? Because you got a lot of... You're ear to a lot of things going on. What are you hearing about this?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, we have still not gotten to pre-COVID employment in the hospitality industry, right? And then when you look at the Bureau of Labor statistics, I think it's like 23% of all new jobs between now and 2031 are going to be expected to be coming out of hospitality. So when you juxtapose that against what we're seeing in Las Vegas, I think it's a question around, is it market specific? Is it something to do with Vegas? And look, Las Vegas is the most iconic hospitality town in the world, right? I mean, there's no question to that.
Yeah.
But it depends a lot on international arrivals. And as we've seen, in this first quarter, international arrivals are down, high double digits, right? I'm sorry, I think it's 16, 17%. So double digits, right? So you are seeing particularly Canadians, which was a big market demand for Vegas. And then you're just seeing overall international from Europe and Asia still down. So I don't know if it's a market specific issue. I also, I think AI and efficiencies creates opportunities, particularly in a leisure market, for those employees to be focused more on servicing the guests. So I don't see AI being a displacement of labor. So I think we've got to separate the need for the industry that is still in many, many markets looking for employees. I mean, there's no question that we are still trying to fill jobs. So I don't know what specifically the Vegas situation may be, but I suspect it's more demand driven and a decline in an overall broader sort of trend that we're seeing.
And I guess just being there last month, right? I hadn't been there.
Oh, yes, that's
I was
right.
just there last month, and I walked the strip because I was staying at the beautiful Fontainebleau Hotel, beautiful mega resort, right? Opened. Yeah. But it was empty. There was not anyone there. There was no one playing on the tables. There's no one really playing games. Like, you didn't feel that vibe. And I was like, let me go really walk the strip. So I walked into all the major names that you hear, and a lot of them were the same kind of way, except you got to like the center where Bellagio was and Caesar's Palace. And I think there's a different mindset because, like, at those places you can get drinks that are a little bit more affordable. You can get food that's a little bit more affordable, where versus some of these other luxury hotels where it is $30 for a cocktail. Right? I was like, Tito's and sodas, $30. What happened here? Right? I thought you used to get these for free on the floor. And then a lot of people that are younger that were on this trip were like, I don't gamble. Like, I work hard for my money. I'm not going to put it on the table. They'd rather play video games or do other things and go to experiences and to the nightclub or to the pool party. So it's interesting to see like what you're going to do. I don't know enough about it. I don't have the stats in front of me, but just looking with the eye test, a lot of the places were empty and a lot of tables empty on weekends.
Well, that particular property is challenging. I mean, gorgeous. But
I'm saying not just that one, but like all of them I was walking into.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, like it's not that like it's interesting.
I think you've hit on something that we have to, as an industry, be really keep our eyes on, which is we've built hospitality based off of some expectations around what the consumer tastes are and trends are.
Yes.
The younger generation, to your point, I mean, there's two things. One, they're not gambling. And second, they're not drinking. The consumption of alcohol in younger generations is massively lower than what it was at our generation. And I'm guilty as charged. So
still, yes.
And most hospitality markets or assets or platforms are still catering to those tastes. And we've got to think more creatively around how to create experience and frankly then monetize that experience for a younger generation, because they're not acting the same way Gen X did, and so therefore the revenue model has to change. And I think Vegas might be at the epicenter of that disruption.
I think so really too. When you walk into a casino and there's cigarette smoke and drinking, and the younger people are not about that. It's just like, all right, what else is there for me to do here? So I think they're doing it with the entertainment and the celebrity DJs and things like that, where it was packed in those sections, but the floors were not. So it was interesting. I'm curious to see where that goes.
Point. Yeah, very, very good. Why don't we go ahead and talk about Hyatt really quickly, and then we'll kind of get into our wrap up, because to be mindful of time, I also have some housekeepers behind me that are ready.
Yeah, they're like trying to kick you out. They're like, get out of here.
You gotta go. No. So Hyatt CEO has been flagging softer booking trends in uncertain markets. So, and again, we've talked about this kind of over the past few weeks, but group bookings, what we found kind of group bookings have remained steady, but leisure travel is showing signs of softening. I know that we talked about this like just a couple of weeks ago about what we kind of think maybe the trend might be, that there might be a little bit of a softening of it into the summer, and then hopefully a boom in the fall and winter when people feel a bit more confident of things. But yeah, I mean, this is certainly something that's on top of everybody's mind, is like what to expect in current times. So
Alex, I'd like to see what you think, because I was looking at the headlines basically this week. Everyone's making their announcements because all the earnings are coming out. What are you hearing as you're talking to people that are coming to the conference?
Yeah, I mean, your overall Marriott's numbers on RevPAR were up 4.4% or something, so quite positive. But again, I think it depends by market and it depends by demand gen. I mean, leisure has been the driver since COVID, right? I mean, it came back a lot quicker than anybody thought it would, and it's sustained. And then what's really supported the industry over the last 2 years is then meetings and incentive and group have then also come back as well. So it's interesting to see leisure start to soften. And look, I mean, it is cyclical, so I think we all have to expect that to some degree. We are certainly seeing that in leisure markets, that it is softening, or that you're starting to see some trading down. That rather than staying at the $500 a night, I'm going to stay at the $300 a night. And there's a couple things that I would say in Hyatt's case, they're more exposed to leisure, right? Just look at the acquisitions that they've made. Dream Hotels, all inclusive resorts, standard to a certain extent. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, all of that is in that leisure space. So Hyatt is definitely more exposed to it. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, I do believe that fundamentally COVID proved that a pandemic or anything otherwise is not going to stunt people's just innate desire to travel and to experience things. I'm a massive believer in that. Every time you see an emerging economy grow a middle class, what's the first thing they do? Start to travel. So, time and time again, it's innate to being human. So I don't think that's a long-term trend, but it may be a cyclical, and I think Hyatt will be at the tip of that spear more than others. But I do worry that when you add everything up, airline, hotel, food and beverage, experiences, drinks at if you're in Vegas for $30, travel's really punching pretty frothy right now, and I do think that we are going to see a reckoning a little bit, particularly with J.D. Power customer reviews. As prices have gone up, service may have gone down with labor, and people aren't fixing the hotels with FF&E. Yep. So it may be a bit of a bumpy ride, but ultimately that may lead to more transactions, which again, this is the recapitalization of the market. So it all leads back to, I think, some cyclicality, but I don't think leisure has got a long-term fundamental decline. It may just be sort of temporary.
Yeah, I could not have been better said. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, it is always going to be a part of, it's never going to be a full on decline. There just might be a little bit of a, suppression of it. And then, we'll kind of like get back into it, just depending on many factors that go into that.
Glamping more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who knew?
Say it again. I'm quoting this episode here. Where knows why in the background?
Say it again. Yeah, I know why too. So it's exciting. Okay, well, just to be mindful of our time. We can obviously do a deep dive into all of these topics far more in depth. Just a quick reminder for everybody in the United States: you should get your real ID by today. This is the deadline. If you don't have it, you should get it soon. Otherwise, you can fly with your passport. But why don't we just can we do a quick rapid round real-time recap before we wrap up for today?
Absolutely. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm going to start here because I just hosted my event last night at the Mandarin Oriental, and I worked there for 2 years, and they're closing. I just want to give them a big shout out for 25 iconic years here in Miami. They really made Brickell what it is today, because when they opened, there was nothing there. It was a ghost town, and they really kicked off this building boom that we saw 25 years ago. So congratulations to the Mandarin Oriental. I'm excited to see what you build here in 5 years. And if you hadn't had a chance, go check out the new Mandarin Oriental Miami renderings. It will be beautiful, and you can live there too. So now you got the residences along with the hotel, as a lot of the products we have here. So that is my shout out for real time today.
Very cool. Alexi, do you have one?
I'm not sure what the premise is. Here.
I'll go through it. So just did you have like a nice hospitable moment?
This week, last 2 weeks.
We did. We had what we call our NYU Partners Dinner, NYU IHIF Partners Dinner, which is for the event, and we had about 25 hospitality professionals, ranging from investors like Blackstone and Brookfield to KSL and Vision Hospitality and Marriott, and it was confirmation that hospitality professionals are the most interesting people in the world. The topics ranged from geopolitics to macroeconomics to the Met, art, language, to where to find the best martini in Brooklyn. And the other thing I would say is it's so nice to watch other people treat hospitality staff with respect, dignity, and interest. And I'm shocked at how many professionals don't do that. When I'm out to a dinner in other markets, but people that work in travel and hospitality know how important and fundamental that staff are, and how challenging that work is. So it was so nice to see someone work with a server or work with the bartender and just kind of know and build up that rapport. So it just was affirmation for me that the best people in the world are those that work in hospitality.
I love that.
Someone recently told me, in hospitality, we know a little bit about a lot of things and can talk about so many different things in the world.
This is so true. So true. So my quick hospitality recap, I definitely have to do a shout out to the team here at Livongo. They are incredible. Their training, everybody is, it's so, you really feel like you leave having friends. I stay in touch with all the employees here. I mean, it's phenomenal. But I do want to actually also do a quick nod to Lenny the doorman in New York. Okay, so if you've seen him before,
who is this? You posted.
Yes. So Lenny is a doorman at the Omni Berkshire in New York City. I discovered him online. I sent him a note and I was like, I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to find you and come dance with you.
Is this Lenny, the Dance Moves doorman?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Saw that.
And so he's amazing. And it was such a cool thing. I mean, so he basically started dancing outside and now everybody kind of comes to the hotel. It's great. I want to actually find out from him or maybe the hotel how much business he's actually driving, because people are absolutely coming to see him, which is fantastic. But what was cool is we texted briefly. I told him when I was going to be there. I show up. And as soon as we met, it was like we had worked together for years. We were just operating on the same wavelength, that same elevated hospitality wavelength. And it was so cool to see. I mean, his energy was infectious. And I mean, honestly, a line of people waiting to come see him, go check out the hotel. People even in my comments saying I stay there just for Lenny. So that was a really cool opportunity. And I guess I'm coming back to New York, so I might have to brush up my dance moves and get back out there with Lenny, but so fun. So fun.
You see, that's what every hotel needs. They got to embrace it, because some hotels would be like, Lenny, you cannot be posting this anymore. Take this down, right? But they did it the other way, where now people are going to see him. So great job.
Totally. All right. Why don't we just quickly do our hospitality quote if we can, and then we'll wrap up.
Do it, Sarah. Read it for us today.
All right. Nothing behind me, everything ahead of me, as is ever so on the road. Jack Kerouac. So love this. I think that's a really good hospitality quote. I mean, again, it's we're always looking forward.
I'm a San Francisco native, and my parents were beatniks, and if anyone wants to call themselves a traveler, they have to read Jack Kerouac's On the Road. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. Love that. Good. Such a good one. Good one to wrap up here. Well, before we just sign off for today, any final words where people should go to find out more about the NYU conference? Anything else you want to just share briefly?
Yeah, you can go to ihifamericas.com, or you can just search it up in your search browser. We're hot and heavy on getting more registrations every day. It is the place to be if you are in the industry and you want to find out what are the things that are happening in the very moment from those that know. So deal making, thought leaders, tastemakers, decision makers, all of that combined together should be an incredible experience. And again, it's it supports the future talent of the industry through scholarship. So appreciate everybody's support. Looking forward to seeing you there, Sarah and Steve. I'm going to do my best to get you there as well. And look, you guys do this every day, right? I mean, you're talking about all these topics, bringing them to the forefront, and that's what we need. You know, when there is such uncertainty in the market, you know, we need a perspective, and it's great that you guys do that, and we're privileged to do that as well. So we're looking forward to seeing you, and Steve, we'll make sure you're there as well.
Yes,
I would love it. I would love it.
Love this. Cool. Well, thank you again. This has been a really good conversation today. We definitely did a bit of a deeper dive than we normally do. So thank you so much, Alex, for joining us. That was fantastic.
Yeah,
so
my pleasure. Thank you both.
Love that. We'll make sure the link is shared here. And Steve, I think you should sign us off.
Well, until next week, stay hospitable, everybody.
Stay hospitable.